Imagine a goddess who moves like a whisper. Not the thunder of Thor, not the roaring steeds of Njord, not the desperate wails of the slain rushing into Odin's halls. No, hers is a power carved in silence, a quiet hand drawing borders on the earth, a veiled woman standing beside a king of gods, a mother of giants, a keeper of maidens, a thief of land, a creator of kingdoms. Tonight, we're following a trail that most scholars overlook. A trail that winds through the sagas, like a shadow slipping between stones. This is Gefjon, the woman who plowed an island out of Sweden and vanished into myth like smoke. Welcome back, witches and wanderers, to the Morbid Witch Podcast. I'm your host, Kari, and tonight's journey pulls us deep into the marrow of Norse myth. Gefjon. Her name appears rarely. Her stories are fragments. Her image is blurred. But what survives? It hints at something ancient, something liminal, something powerful in ways that Norse mythology seldom allows its goddesses to be. Tonight, we're not just telling her story. We're reconstructing her through myth, through poetry, through archaeology, through the whispers left behind. Gefjon is strange among Norse deities because she appears only a handful of times in surviving texts. She occupies an extremely honored position beside Odin. She performs one of the most dramatic single acts in Norse myth, the creation of an entire island. And yet, she is never given a lineage consistent with the Aesir or Vanir. She exists between things, between pantheons, between interpretations. Some scholars believe she may once have been a Danish land goddess, an older regional mother deity absorbed into Norse myth, a psychopomp, a guide of souls, a sovereignty goddess tied to land rights and rulership, or a personification of agriculture itself. But one thing becomes clear. Gefjon is ancient, older than the Eddas, older than the written sagas, a remnant of something pre-Norse, and that begins with her name. The Old Norse name, Gefjon, comes from the Proto-Germanic root geban, to give. But the meaning isn't literal. Gefjon may mean the giver, the allotter, she who distributes, or even she who bestows fertility. This aligns with land goddesses across Indo-European culture. The Romans had Ceres, the Baltic had Siminya, the Slavic Mokosh, the Celtic Danu, and the Finnish Akka. Each governed the giving of land, life, or sustenance. Gefjon fits this pattern so perfectly that many scholars argue she is one of these primordial Earth Mother archetypes, later absorbed into the Aesir's structure. But the Norse did something different with her. They made her a force of boundaries, not just the giver of land, but the shaper of it. This brings us to our most famous myth. This story is the heart of Gefjon's mythology, and even in its strangeness, it reveals who she truly is. Let's tell it the way a skald might have, by firelight. Gylfi, king of Sweden, welcomed the mysterious woman into his hall. Tall, graceful, eyes shadowed like dusk. She spoke little, smiled rarely, but when she did, the king felt warmth spill into his bones. One night, softened by mead and fascination, he offered her a gift. Take as much land as you can plow in a single night. He thought it a poetic gesture, a harmless one. Gefjon bowed her head, and when the king slept, she called her sons. Yes, her sons. 4 of them, born of a giant in Jotunheim. Creatures enormous, wild, powerful. When she commanded it, they transformed, their human shapes dissolving into the great muscular bodies of oxen. Gefjon gripped the plow. Her sons strained against the earth, and the land ripped free. Not soil, not a field, but a chunk of Sweden itself. A kingdom's worth of earth, trees, rivers, and hills, pulled, dragged, torn from its cradle. They carried it westward across the sea and lowered it gently into the waves. When dawn broke, a new island floated on the water. Zealand, the heart of Denmark, and in Sweden, a vast gaping hole, which filled with river water and became Lake Mälaren. The story is often dismissed as comical or folkloric, but strip away the humor, and the myth does 2 things. It establishes Gefjon as a goddess of land creation, not just fertility, literally the shaping of geography. It frames Denmark's claim to Zealand as divinely sanctioned. This myth is political power disguised as legend, but it also reveals a goddess with enormous agency, a goddess who outsmarts kings, partners with giants, and tears worlds apart. One of the strangest references to Gefjon appears in the Skaldskaparmál. She receives the souls of women who died unmarried. This detail is rarely discussed, but it is significant. It implies Gefjon has a realm or hall of the dead. She functions as a guardian or psychopomp. She holds power over a specific category of soul. In Norse mythology, who receives the dead reveals their cosmic importance. Freya would receive the chosen. Odin received the slain. Hel received the masses. Ran received the drowned. And Gefjon receives the unmarried. This positions her as a protector of the forgotten, those who have no familial claim, no husband, no legacy. Gefjon becomes a goddess of autonomy, afterlife guidance, female spiritual sovereignty, and this links directly to her identity. The Norse term describing Gefjon as a virgin doesn't mean chaste. It means unbound. She who belongs to no man. In Germanic cultures, virginity often implied legal independence, spiritual potency, magical ability, authority over land, and freedom from male guardianship. Gefjon is the goddess whose sexuality, when she chooses to use it, is her own. She bears children with a giant. She toys with kings. She moves between worlds. Her virginity is sovereignty. In Gylfaginning, when the gods sit in council, Gefjon stands beside Odin's throne. This is not a casual detail. Only gods of prophecy, wisdom, or cosmic authority stand beside him. Frigg, Saga, Freya, Vor, and in this case, Gefjon. Why her? Because Gefjon may have once been an oracle, a goddess of foresight, a keeper of fate, or a priestess goddess whose cult was absorbed into Odin's sphere. The Eddas treat her like someone everyone already knew to respect, a relic of older tradition. In Copenhagen stands a massive bronze fountain depicting Gefjon driving her oxen, plowing Zealand from Sweden. It reinforces a cultural memory. Gefjon is the mother of Danish land. While no direct cult site is confirmed, patterns suggest fertility rites linked to plowing, ceremonies invoking goddesses of land allotment, connections to giant ancestry, and links to marriage rites and maidenhood. These reinforce her identity as the land sovereignty goddess. And now, a skaldic reconstruction of a poem. She walks where borders tremble, a woman carved of twilight and soil. Her hands hold the weight of kingdoms, her eyes the memory of the deep earth. When kings grow arrogant, she smiles. When giants call her mother, she listens. When maidens die forgotten, she gathers them, like seeds blown from winter fields. Gefjon plows the night. Gefjon shapes the land. Gefjon gives what cannot be taken, and takes what cannot be given back. Gefjon is enjoying a renaissance. Her limited myths leave room for feminist reinterpretation, pagan reconstruction, academic re-evaluation, artistic exploration, sovereignty symbolism, and ancestor veneration. She is a goddess of independence, land ownership, feminine authority, resilience, personal transformation, and quiet strength. She stands as a reminder. Power doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Gefjon is more than a loud plower, more than a forgotten goddess, more than a footnote in the Eddas. She is a creator, a sovereign, a gatherer of souls, a quiet oracle, a remnant of something older than the Viking Age. A woman whose myth was never meant to be loud, but was always meant to last. Thank you for joining me for this deep dive into the veiled goddess of Norse myth. For more dark folklore, myth, and haunted history, follow the Morbid Witch podcast on TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And if you enjoy the show, leaving a review helps the magic reach more ears. Until next time, stay strange, stay spooky, and remember, the shadows are always watching.